Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. It's me, Joey P. Joe P. Zapia. With me today, as always, is the Welsh. And, of course, it's you. And today, we're going to recap what happened in the All-Star game. We're going to look ahead to our rest of season ranks, our top 25 starting pitchers. We're also going to talk about maybe the top 10, 15, who knows how many assets in Major League Baseball that we want on our fantasy teams for keeper leagues and or dynasty. We'll dive into that. We'll also dive into some rest of season home run props that are out there too. And tomorrow's going to be a fun show because Welsh, tomorrow we're going to take a heavy look at all the betting stuff still out there for the second half. And I know you're like me. That's an exciting thing. Now we're in the stretch run. We know who teams are. We kind of have a sense of who teams are not, and also who might be buyers and sellers. So are you excited about the week of wagering we've got here before games kick up again?
I am, because if you like to wager at all, you've been a little devoid of all of the major fun. There's maybe a few things missing in your life, like all the bets in the world, and you're just hyper-focused on one spot, and you were forced to go nuts or just go a little bit on that all-star game, which I don't believe featured a run or many hits after the fifth inning. Yeah. So, yes, I'm excited about the second half. I'm excited about finding some values, too, because those are kind of gone. Like the big guys that you and I have been jumping on, like Shohei Ohtani at MVP, those are gone. So we're going to have to reestablish and see where you can get some values, whether it's to win or maybe even hopefully make a couple bucks on sites that pay you back like FanDuel.
Yeah, well, I think that the Ohtani's done, Julio's done. You can't, vote. Can't vote. You should vote. You can vote. You can't bet on the Yankees or the Astros to win their divisions, but we'll do odds about the remaining divisions, also teams to make the playoffs, not make the playoffs tomorrow. Today's a little bit more fantasy focused, tomorrow a little bit more wagering focused. So if you like to do both, this is the show for you, and we're going to be going straight through here. So let's kick things off here with the All-Star game. We have Giancarlo Stanton taking home the MVP. I feel like the under with the combination of so many relief pitchers every inning, with the strikeout rates, as you were saying, the lack of runs and hits and created runs, I feel like the under in the All-Star game is becoming like an automatic smash button. Do you feel the same way?
I didn't yesterday. I was like 7.5. I like the over at 7.5 with all of the relief pitchers coming on the back end. The NL too was kind of littered with even more relief guys. I mean, I think Joe Mantiply came in like the 5th or something like that. Like that
we
actually
don't die, we Mantiply.
Yeah. But no, you're right. It is becoming much, much more. I wonder, I haven't tracked the downturn of it, but I mean, it was 7.5 this year. I mean, what's it going to be? 6 next year? Like,
well, when it starts to go to 6, that's when you start to go, okay. But 7.5, I still felt like that's a good under. I was on Scotty Farrell's show yesterday afternoon, and we were talking about All-Star game, and he's like, what do you think about it, Joe? And I was like, look, I think I think it's American League. I think it's the under, and I think you take a shot on somebody at MVP. Whoever hits a home run is going to be MVP. And your boy Buxton hit a home run, but Stanton was the guy. By the way, I love the All-Star Game MVP award itself. That crystal bat or whatever the heck it is. I think I'd love to see Stanton hit a ball with it just for S's and G's. Does that make me weird?
No. I actually want them to continue like going balls to the wall on that type of stuff, like the home run derby chain. They should be doing cool, unique things that gets players to want to come. I mean, whatever they got to do. I mean, at some point, don't be surprised if they start doing like some type of all-star ring or something for everybody. Whatever you got to do to get these players excited to want to win, to get out there and to compete.
And Julio made more money in the home run derby I saw than he's going to make all season. So that's
$750,000 for second place. He was making $700,000 as a major leaguer this year.
Very touching moment, by the way. Also, did you see the Clayton Kershaw with the young kid whose granddad passed away but wanted to meet Clayton Kershaw before he died? And, oh my goodness. You're not crying, I'm crying. It's a lot. Kershaw did a nice job there. It was very nice. So good on him.
Kershaw is really good about all of that stuff. Like he's very, very tuned into kids. I've been over at Dodgers camp.
Unlike Mike Mayer. Could you imagine Mike Mayer is like, hey, my granddad wanted to meet you, Mike Mayer, before he died of cancer. Mike Mayer is like, kid, I don't have time for this. Like,
we're all going to die, kid.
Well, it looks like we missed our opportunity. That would be Mike Mayer. Like, he'd be like, well, what am I supposed to do it now? What am I supposed to do about it? I feel like that.
One of my biggest regrets of all the things with athletes is the picture. I have a picture with Clayton Kershaw because I've ITL famously told the story. I don't need to tell it here, but where I met him at a Whole Foods and my picture's like blurry. because I was trying to do it quick because I felt bad about doing
I
it.
feel
But
like
I
I've
was
seen
like,
this. I
yeah, I was
think I
just like,
remember this.
how often are you going to be around Clayton Kershaw? And he couldn't have been nicer. He could not have been nicer about it. But I got a blurry picture with the Cy Young winner.
That's awesome. Well, there you go. That's something
Yeah.
you could always take with you. Clase struck out the side for the All-Star game. Alec Manoah, very entertaining too on the microphone yesterday. God, I love that Hoss. I do. I just, why am I such a sucker for the big Hoss pitchers? I don't know. Just love that guy. He's a good time. What'd you think of all the mic'd up stuff, by the way?
Oh, it's my favorite thing. But interesting, you keep me and Bogman around. And you're like, oh, I love these big Haas
Yeah, the
pitchers.
big
And everything
Hosses,
like,
man.
they're a
I'm the
connection.
little Hoss, so I look up to the big
Dude,
Hosses.
I've been saying this for a while. I don't know when baseball is going to take like the forefront in wanting to really, really improve the game. They do so many things to hurt themselves. As small as some of this stuff is, I think I gotta tell you, I love custom bats. Like the bat that Julio used.
Oh, the Julio
in the
bat was
home
so
run derby.
cool, dude. So cool.
I honestly think it would be such a huge improvement if they even allowed something like that in games to start having. But I love the mic'd up. I think that's a way to get more personal with players. I think people lack connection sometimes. I think every single
What's the
nationally big
custom
televised
bat
game should.
hurdle? Like, I don't get what's the problem? Why
They don't
can't you have a
but they don't
custom
let them do
bat?
the cleat. They don't let them go crazy with cleats. They have
Yeah,
like
that's dumb
really
too.
that's the stuff you do. Like let the guys bat flip. Let there be really cool custom things that kids can see and get excited about, whether it's cleats, whether it's bats. Get these guys mic'd up in every single game that could be televised. I think it's the best thing to do. I want to see more of it. I want to see more of the things that we love in the personality. That moment with with David Ortiz, where David Ortiz is like, how would you pitch me? And he starts to talk, Alec Manoah starts to go through it. And then Poppy's like, get out of here. He's like, and he just walks off. He's like, you're not gonna strike me out. Like those type of like that is all really, really good for baseball. Yeah. It's just a shame that we only celebrate it in a all-star or championship type of way. We should do it all the time.
Well, and not everybody has got a personality. Let's be honest. There's a lot of guys that are duller than dirt, that you just don't want to, put on there.
We're not going to mic those guys up. We don't have to worry about that. For every one of those guys, there's a Mookie Betts.
Right.
Like we don't need
I remember
to worry
back in the day,
those.
my favorite mic'd up thing ever was Jason Kipnis when he was still playing on the Cleveland Indians at the time.
Really?
Jason Kipnis singing Adele playing second base. And he was like, yep, I'm singing Adele right now. He was in spring training. They had him mic'd up and he was just singing Adele songs. It was my favorite thing ever.
I mean, I'm surprised they MLB Network hasn't, or just MLB in general, hasn't created some type of like special mic'd up feed. I mean, it'd be a little dicey, but I'd like to see some of that.
Yeah. All right. Let's some really funny things in the chat too, by the way, about Mike Mayer being mean to some kid, which I think is just great. Because he's not here to defend himself.
What a gimmick! What a gimmick he gets to have, and people hold on.
I know. Full heel, Mike Mayer. The MLB and MLBPA is discussing the rule changes for next year. They have 45 days to agree upon the big giant bases, the pitch clock, all that stuff. Now, I went to the game where the pitch clock in Somerset when I saw Volpe play a couple weeks ago. I loved it. It was great. Kept the game moving. And there was a crap ton of runs. I think there were 16 runs in that game. And it still finished under 3 hours. And I'm like, tell you, this is great.
I've been seeing the pitch clock for quite some time. They've done it in the AFL. They've done it at the lower levels.
It's not a big deal. Like, it's just
when a guy slows down, though, this is what people get pissed off about, though, is when the guys don't move it along and an ump throws a ball on the count and everyone's like, what? And you get fans pissed off because a guy is, slowing down the game or whatever. I think it's great. I think it's fine. I've seen players adjust to it perfectly okay. It's very, very little impact on the game outside of speeding it up.
Agreed. All right. Also impactful. Drew Jones agrees to an $8.19 million million bonus. Not too bad for Mr. Jones and me. Gonna be big stars. Well, she's gonna be.
I'm keeping my eyes open in the bushes for when Drew Jones comes here to Phoenix. I don't know when exactly it's going to be. It could be Thursday. Complex level starts back up tomorrow. That I don't think he wouldn't be in a game at this moment, though. We would say it's been quite a few days in between, but they got Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think next week is a real high possibility. I'm going to watch, though, because he could pop up and be around camp, and then he probably is going to start getting in games. My assumption would be starting next week as easy as it goes. But these guys, what they always like to do? They like to bring the guys in, like parade them around town a little bit at a home game. And I don't know why they do that whole thing before they play, but him signing first is a huge, huge win. And I will be out. I can promise you, if I know the day, the debut, and as long as it's not this Saturday late, I will be at Salt River Fields, and I will be there for his debut, and I will be there for quite a few games to watch Drew Jones as a Diamondback.
He's quite a talent. The question is, are we going to see the talent of Jacob deGrom again? Simulated game moved to Thursday. He was apparently they're being overly cautious with the shoulder soreness or whatever's going on here. Oh, well, are we going to see Jacob deGrom pitch an inning this year?
Yes. I'm not going to do this. We can't. I'm not going to fall for this. I'm not going to have this. I will not have this blasphemy. We've had enough. I've had enough of the injury thing where I'm like, oh, this guy could come back, and then he gets. I can't be wrong about this one. I can't have the injury bug bite me on this one. He will be fine. They were being overly cautious.
Mm-hmm.
The big marker here is if he has this last little start on Thursday, which they moved it to Thursday as long as everything is okay and as long as he's not feeling any more soreness, he should go out, have his last throw, and then we would get him most likely next week. If he doesn't do the Thursday one, I'm going to have a little bit more worry because there's only so much more we can do with this, but I'm going to say this is a very isolated situation and not absolutely panic and freak out on all my fantasy teams.
And Wonky brings up a good point. Should have traded him when they said he'd be back. Yeah, but the problem is, I don't know what you can get for deGrom at this point. I don't know. The market value for him is just all over the place, depending on it's very eye of the beholder. I just wish the Mets would start to lie to me at this point. Just say he had a stomach flu or something, and they push it back.
That would have been nice.
I just lie to me. I don't care. This is the one circumstance where I don't want the truth anymore about Jacob deGrom because the truth is just depressing.
The smart fantasy play, we can kind of make this an overarching thing, like what Wonky's saying. The smart fantasy play is take these guys who have had some type of injury or these super hype pushed up prospects. Anytime there is buzz around a player, and if you're risk averse, one of the best things to possibly do is just go out and make the trade and get what you can. Maybe you win, maybe you lose, but at the end of the day, maybe you win in that they get hurt and you've got a bunch of assets. Maybe you lose in that they come back and are really good, but either way, you've minimized that win and loss. In this case, for me, this is just one I just don't agree. I wouldn't have done. I would take the risk. I don't think what you can acquire for Jacob deGrom is, I could be wrong if someone would, sell you the moon. I just don't think what you can get is worth giving up the risk of the potential number one.
The reward of Jacob deGrom being healthy. Is it worth trading him for Sean Manaea? I think
not even remotely close in my mind. I would take that risk. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll take that because deGrom, even projections, which, are going to want to be, a little bit stabilized, are incredibly aggressive on the back half of the year for Jacob deGrom. Looking over at the bat, you can go take a look at Ariel's ATC. They're aggressive on maybe his a little bit less, but the bat is very aggressive on Jacob deGrom rest of season. And I'm going to stick with that. And you know what? If anything, maybe I take this approach. I'm getting a tiny bit of a value. Maybe you have an owner that's absolutely gone, oh my God, I can't do this. This is going to be bad. Maybe I'm poking around, but I sure do want to see what happens on Thursday, maybe before anything.
Lance McCullers also, by the way. Lance McCullers sighting.
He lives.
Begin his rehab assignment on Friday. Couldn't believe this one. Interesting because there's no room at the inn anymore for McCullers, in my opinion. So if you're looking at this rotation, you've got Verlander. He's pretty good. Okay. He ain't coming out. I know you've got Framber Valdez. You've got Garcia. You've had Odorizzi come back. You've had Christian Javier be excellent up until these last few starts.
Odorizzi's easy to move out of that rotation from.
Is he though? Is he a guy that's going to pitch out of the bullpen well?
See, well, you know what? Problem. Here would be my one argument with the amount of injuries that McCullers has had. Why not put him in the bullpen for the rest of this?
Well, I think that's what you're going to see. I think you're going to see McCullers and Christian Javier in the bullpen. And I think that is the reason why on tomorrow's show, I'm going to be very bullish about the Houston Astros getting to the World Series. Yeah. Because I think there's very few teams that are going to be able to throw out those kind of arms after throwing a Justin Verlander at you. That's tough, man.
I got to agree with you on that too. And especially if they can just maybe go get a little bit more thump in that lineup. Maybe there's a first baseman that's out there available. You get a tiny bit more thump to add to it with what is already. I mean, if you put a 5-man rotation, there's much better. But if you lock them down into like a 3 spot and you got, Verlander and Framber and maybe it's Luis Garcia, and then you're throwing out bullpens of, McCullers to Javier to Presley, they're going to be really, really tough to beat. They're a really good bet on the back half of this year for sure. Unfortunately for us.
And they got an easy schedule too. Look, it's always, you can never have too much starting pitching, But I also wonder if McCullers at this point is more a headache than he's worth. Like, I wonder if he becomes a trade chip. Like, he comes back and then look good for a week, and then you
You
move
know
him
what he
off for
is?
something else if you need it.
He's one of those guys that's like Mondesi with the Kansas City Royals, where they're just like, hey, we love him, but
that is the perfect SAT analogy.
Yeah, like we can't count on him. Like we can't
Right.
count on him. And I don't think they can. And that's why that's a guy that you can throw in the bullpen, get you 2 strong innings, maybe be a back half guy. Maybe you piggyback like a Luis Garcia and
Or maybe he's a reliever like his
McCullers.
daddy. His daddy was a heck of a reliever for many years.
His
With
daddy.
the Braves. Yeah,
You
his
know?
daddy. Lance McCullers.
I like this
remember.
Biza Giza, this idea right here. Josh Bell to Houston. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. Houston, go and get a bat like that and put in. I like that scenario.
That would definitely help both sides there. All right, let's talk about the top 25 starting pitchers we have rest of season now. Mine's skewed because I have Ohtani as the number 1 overall player rest of season, because if you have him as a pitcher and a hitter, how is he not the number 1 overall player? He is. So you'll see my ranks have Ohtani first, then his starting pitcher, because I can't undo that. They connect to each other. But rest of season, Welsh, I've got Garrett Cole, Verlander, Corbin Burns, Alcantara, Shane McClanahan, then Scherzer, Musgrove, Woodruff, Max Fried, Kevin Gossman. So that's like Ohtani's in that mix too. So Ohtani, I believe, is a pitcher. I had him right around, I think I had him at 7 or 8. It might have been 9 now that I'm looking at it. So those are basically the top 10 when you throw Ohtani in there. Who are your top 10 guys rest of the season there?
And I also tier them out on my ranks over in this league, but I've got McClanahan at number 1. I made that push quite a while ago. McClanahan number 1. Burns
so you're not
2.
concerned at all about the second half fade at all. See, that's the thing for me. I keep coming back to the second half fade of McClanahan as a distinct possibility. But you don't seem to. A lot of people don't seem to be worried about that. Why?
Well, I mean, a qualified highest K percentage. I don't see anything at this current moment outside of, you could argue, maybe inning. I don't know. I don't want to say shutdown. Shutdown's not the word I'm trying to say, but like a management. You could have inning management on the back half,
and maybe unsustainable, ridiculously good numbers. Like that combination, I think, is a little scary. That's why I have him like around 5 and not 1.
And to be fair, like a guy like Garrett Cole, going back to projections, Garrett Cole has the most projected strikeouts in the second half of this year, according to the bat, which is a big number, which could put him at the top. But my point when I said tiers is he's a part of a tier. So you could move them around. I have McClanahan at number 1 because I think he's been so dominant and he hasn't really shown any true signs of coming back. Number 1 strikeout pitcher. I love me some strikeouts. Right. But I've got him, I've got Burns, and I've got Cole, and that's an interchangeable tier in my eye. So
I agree with that. I agree they're the 3. I have them as my 3 as well. I got Cole, Burns, Verlander as well, but I have a Cole, Verlander, Burns right now.
And I'm not 100% concerned with, like, if you want to argue Cole is number 1, I'm not going to disagree with you, because at the end of the day, like, you're not trading one for one of those guys. And if I guess all it comes down to is if you were, let's say, going to do like a trade package and you could acquire either Cole or McClanahan at the same cost, then my valuation, I probably would still lean McClanahan, though I'm with Cole. 4, I got Sandy Alcantara. 5, I've got Shohei Ohtani, Musgrove, Verlander, Max Scherzer at 8. And I put Jacob deGrom tentatively down at 9 with Dylan Cease at 10.
I've got deGrom at 22 until he gets on a mound.
So we're on the other side of this. We're on the other side. I'm tentatively up, you're down.
9 is correct. But to me, it's 22 because even if he goes out there rest of the season and makes 3 starts and then he gets hurt again, that's what I'm building into the ranking. I'm building in injured again because I think I have to at this point with Jacob deGrom. I think it would be somehow I would be doing a disservice to the audience if I didn't build that into the ranking rest of the season of him. And I think it sucks. I hate doing it, but I feel like it's a fact of life at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's a disservice because if he is out there and plays, you are going to see wildly underranked parts for him, and he is going to insanely outperform. If he plays, you at 22 and me at 9 is too low if he plays the entire second half. Sure. The only marker we have right now is he missed, obviously, the first half, and there's a little bit of shoulder soreness, and that is something that should make us hesitate. I moved it back before we started this because of the shoulder, but I don't, again, you say it's a disservice. I don't. You should know the implied risk. The implied risk is both sides. What's the biggest risk? He gets hurt again. You lose him for the rest of the year, and we're all banging our heads against the table. What's the upside? He's the number one pitcher the back half of the year who was in minor league starts throwing 100 plus coming off of this injury. So he is tough. I think he's the most difficult of all of these to manage. And whatever side you want to be on, that's totally okay. I'm jumping in front because I am just way less risk averse. I play on the edge. I put my foot over the edge of the cliff a lot more than Joe or Wonky or anybody does.
There you go. That's a good conversation. All right, let's go to the rest of your tiers here too, because after this you have Dylan Cease, Kevin Gossman, Aaron Nola, Manoah, Wheeler, Kershaw, Giolito, Woodruff, Rodon. Rodon's a little lower for you, which is interesting. And then Bieber. Why is Rodon so much lower? Is that just because injury history?
Injury history. Well, a little bit of injury history. There were some early inconsistencies. He's been awesome as of recent. The strikeouts have been there as well. He's a little bit walk, especially if you look at like some of the top guys in performance. So, Sandy Alcantara rocking a 2 walk per 9. You got this huge barrage of guys too, by the way, between like Nola, Fried, McClanahan that are all those sub 2 walks. He's an over 3. The 2 top guys, the 2 top pitchers on this list that have an over 3 walk per 9 are Dylan Cease and him. And that worries me as far as consistency goes just a tiny bit. I guess it's one of those things where it's like, I don't realize I hate him as much as like my rank does when I do it at the end of the day. But this is just once I put it out, I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do have him a little bit lower. I'd moved a couple.
I have Fried
other
much
guys
higher
out
than you too. You've got him at 25. I got him at 10. That's a big difference.
That's a bit. I mean, he's had a solid season. I just think it's continuously performing on the back half of the year. It's low strikeouts. I mean, under 9K per 9, which is something that's a little bit of a worry. A really, really low home run total that I think could pop just a tiny bit. And he's got one of the few. A lot of these guys you're going to see with some inflated xFIPs. He's just another one of those. It's an over 3 xFIP from his 2 ERA. So I don't know. I think there's some potential implied pushback on the back half of this year. But again, this is one of those things where it's like I pushed him down probably because I pushed him down, by the way. He's in a tier of guys that are up from 20 to 25. It's a lack of strikeouts. Still a really good pitcher. I just think I'm a little bit off. Wonky has him at 17. I think I'm kind of close, but I guess just between us, I'm the lower-ish man on him.
Yeah, it's funny. The biggest riser I have is Jonathan Gray at 26 overall. You like strikeouts?
That's a really big move for the second half of the year. You don't have any concerns with just the inconsistency of the Rangers?
Oh, huge concerns. But you know what? I watched them pitch and I just like what I'm seeing. And I was waiting for this to happen. I felt like the early season with all the injuries and the stop and start for him, he just never got into a groove. And I feel like he's getting to a groove. And I think mentally for him, that's the biggest thing. Like he needs to mentally break into a confident kind of place. And if he does, I think we're going to see the guy who was selected number 2 overall and how good of a pitcher he could be. Because I was always a fan of John Gray, so this is very exciting.
Okay.
Looking at the overall ranks, too.
Real quick, Cole, I want to actually ask you. I'm sorry, I didn't know if you were going to move on to this or whatnot. Talk to me real quick about Peralta. You threw Peralta back on this list. We obviously have questions on it. I'm just curious about that because, like, you got major injuries there. And you put him as a top 25 starting pitcher rest of the year.
So good when he's healthy, and all the reports have been good. So he's working his way back. So I'm at 25. So like 25, 26, 27, I got Peralta, John Gray, Manaea, and Chris Bassett. Like that's the grouping of pitchers right there where I like all those guys. I feel good about them. But the upside, like you said, the upside of DeGrom, the upside of Peralta for me. Like last year, how good he was. This year, after those first shaky start or two, he was so good. And then the injury came, unfortunately. So fingers crossed, and we're not worrying about innings anymore. Overall players, again, if Ohtani is a hitter and a pitcher, he's number 1. I have Soto 2, Jose Ramirez 3, Judge, Acuna, Alvarez. Julio's made it all the way up to 7 for me because I am in love with Julio Rodriguez, and I don't care who knows. Rafael Devers, Betts, Cole. Then you have the Verlander, Turner, Burns, the pitchers, and all that stuff. I have Vlad all the way at 16. I'd rather have McClanahan rest of the season than Vlad. Is that weird?
I don't. It's not weird. It's just who'd you say you'd rather have than Vlad?
McClanahan.
Well, no, not having McClanahan's not weird, but you have him down at 16. What's like a hitter that you have?
Well, the next one is the closest hitter is Trey Turner at 12. I have, and then Vlad at 16. I have the pitchers there in between. I think that feels right. Vlad's got to
not...
show me a little bit right now. Vlad's in that, like, okay, let's show it. I'm always low on Trey Turner. Everybody knows this. He's fine.
I looked at your stuff. I was like, you're
fine.
A little bit low.
That's always me. He doesn't do it for me.
I am quite a bit higher. I don't have a overall to go through, though. I was looking through my top 10.
Well, maybe tomorrow. We're short on time anyway. Maybe tomorrow we'll do your dynasty top 10 or something like that.
Oh, either one. I have a dynasty one all set up on overall. My positional ranks my rest of season ranks are all positional, not necessarily overall. But one of the things I noticed is I was going to try to do this beforehand. I put Turner in and I was like, wow, you and I are just astronomically different than Turner. I will say
I might have to revisit it, but I mean, I'm always like this on Trey.
Yeah, no, I am with you on the Julio front. I have him as the number 2 outfielder or number 4 outfielder rest of season. And you and I share a whole lot of these. I don't necessarily share the really, really high Juan Soto front with everything that's going on with him, but I agree on the Alvarez, the Julio Rodriguez front. It's just Turner, I think, belongs in there.
All right, let's get to BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Bet $10, not $2, $10 and win $200 on anything, regardless of the outcome. And look, we've got all kinds of fun things and props we're going to talk about at BetMGM. So you should go make that deposit. When you sign up, use that promo code leading off. That's what I did. I used our own promo code because I'm not stupid. I bet $10 and I got my $200 because they said I could do it. So I did it. I don't know why you guys haven't yet. But again, free money is good. Download the BetMGM app or go to betmgm.com. Also, I thought these were fun things here. Rest of season, we have some home run leader things. Aaron Judge is at minus 195 to lead the league in home runs. Kyle Schwarber at plus 350. Austin Riley is at plus 1500, which I thought was fascinating. Pete Alonso at 20-1. Trout and Stanton at 25. But I thought that the Alonso 20-1 was fascinating number because we all know the polar bear can go on a run. Austin Riley, kind of interesting, could sneak in there because I feel like Judge is going, look, can't make money on Judge. So if you want to bet this, you got to pick somebody else.
Riley is interesting because he's close. The problem with Alonso is he's 9 off right now. So if you're going to, thank you, Don. What was it? We were just looking at this the other day. I think it's 18 homers projected second half, almost in every single projection site, 18 to 19 homers for Judge. So if you are already 9 off, you would have to be and let's say he comes back just a tiny bit, 15, you would have to get like 25 homers second half for Alonso. So I don't like that one. The Riley one is interesting. I don't view him quite as the same bopper, but he is 6 off from Judge. Right. Schwarber has 29 to Judge's 33. That's probably the
Alvarez missed some time, but like if there's a guy who can go on a run, it's Alvarez.
He's Alvarez as well too.
Back for $5 on this. Speaking of which, there's some individual props too. These are from FanDuel. You have Aaron Judge over under 49.5 home runs. Minus 110 is the juice. You want to go over or under the 49.5?
Welsh? Absolutely smashing that over.
Here's another one, 37.
Wait, who has that one? I'm going to go bet that when we're done with this.
FanDuel right now.
I'm going to go bet that one when we're done with this.
Jordan Alvarez or Yordan Alvarez. How do we say it now? Because I've been told.
Listen, it's supposed to be said like a Jordan, but nobody cares that it's that, and every human being says Jordan. I think this is turning into. I haven't heard him talk on it. I think this is turning into an Eloy situation where he doesn't care. Eloy's like, it's technically Eloy, but I like Eloy as well. I don't mind. I hear nobody respect the Jordan Alvarez, and everybody just whys it to hell. They're like Jordan Alvarez. So
or they say Jordan. I've heard that one a lot now too.
Sure.
Alvarez is number 37.5, also with the minus 110. Over under on Alvarez.
Ooh, 37.5.
Yeah, I go
You're
over
currently at 26, so you're saying 11 second half ones with a 347 ISO.
I like this one better than Judge.
I do too. I like both of these. These would actually be 2 I would jump on.
I cherry picked this last one too. Mike Trout 33.5. I like the under on this. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I touch it. This is one of those things. Maybe I suck at because I want to be
playing the
negative on DeGrom. Well, yeah, no, I understand you are, but it's like I look at a guy like DeGrom and I'm like, holy crap, he's going to be amazing when he's back. I want to play talent instead of holding back. The same thing with Trout. When he's there, I don't want to bet against him, but there's so much going on with him. I get your logic. I just won't mess with it because my brain would go, well, he's going to smash this type of stuff. But the injuries, the inconsistencies, how garbage that team is right now, I would pass on Trout, but I do like your logic.
See, I like the under. You're so negative, and you're basically setting up my argument for the under. It's like, yes.
Yeah, no. I'm totally agreeing with you. I don't want to
make money on the negative.
Except that's
there's nothing else
12
more when I see something that's overinflated, and I go, yep, That's not going to happen.
Well, he has 24, and what's the number? 33. So no, he would need 10 homers on this. So you're betting 9 homers or less for Trout.
I'm betting on the back of Mike Trout not being a good thing. That's what I'm betting on.
It's not
I'm
a
a
bad
jerk.
bet. It's not.
I
What's
am
your
the
favorite
Loki of
three?
fantasy sports.
Is
What's
it
that?
Jordan? Is it Alvarez of the 3?
Oh, Alvarez is my favorite of the 3, without a doubt. I think that's a smash over.
Like, I actually think I agree with you on that one.
He could do that next month. I feel like, he could hit 11 home runs in a month. Like, that dude
better get ready, FanDuel account. Money's coming your way.
Let's go. But again, go to BetMGM and make your bets. You get the 10 for 200. There you go. Let's go. Let's get it in. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the divisions. We're going to be looking at the playoffs. We're going to be looking at World Series odds and all that stuff as we preview. We have games coming back tomorrow. So there'll be a light schedule, I believe, right? It's not a full schedule Thursday. It's a light schedule.
I think you're right about that.
It's a light schedule. We want to ease our way back, take our time. But again, this is going to be a great show because if you recall, this was the show last year where I went on the Bryce Harper rant at 30-1 for MVP and won everybody money.
Do you anticipate a rant tomorrow?
I can't see a world where there isn't a rant. I mean, it's gotta what it's gonna be about. We'll find out.
If Jacob deGrom is shut down tomorrow and doesn't do his start, I'm gonna rant.
Here's tomorrow's day.
Be safe.
Jacob deGrom gets shut down. I come on the show. I'm miserable, and then Juan Soto gets traded to the Mets later that afternoon. We do a special edition of Leading Off where
You're gonna be mad. You're going to be mad when
he
gets traded to the San Diego Padres. Yeah. By the way, Bogman and I do a live stream on our Twitch, twitch.tv/inthisleague. We have a Tuesday episode we call Fantasy Predictor. I broke down, and we could even do it here. I've actually got some new additions to it. I broke down 5 Juan Soto trade scenarios on that show. And I did all the prospects I think that can be involved. So you can go back and watch and see what I did. But I think there are some new alterations by some new information that's come out that I might have some new adjustments to a few of them. And I'd be glad to do that as well.
All the adjustments. Check out ITL for all that stuff for the Patreon and in this league. Good stuff with Bogman and Welsh. All right, that'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on for the Welsh. I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.
Peace.
Bye.